everyone. We're Steph and Rachel, the creators of Wealth, Wisdom, and Wellbeing podcast. The spirit of this podcast is to share the conversations and curiosities that we have with a greater community in the hope that we can develop wealth, wisdom, and well-being for ourselves and those around us. Simply put, we're in the pursuit of financial freedom and opportunity, meaningful relationships and experiences, and an increased quality of life to be able to enjoy all of it. We just want to live our best lives and help you to do the same. Come with us on this journey. Let's have some laughs, learn from our communities, and get that bread.
Yeah. So, Rach, I guess this conversation, I was thinking about just the year of 2025 and how we are coming to a close and how this is very much of a season of reflection. And, it's been a year in general as a collective, as we were talking about, is letting go, shedding, getting rid of old patterns, letting those patterns come up to your awareness so that you can let go and transform them, heal them, whatever. It's been a lot of that. And the next couple of months are going to be of that too. And it's been a bit of a harder year for a lot of people in a lot of different ways because of that. Because letting go, as we talked about, can be painful. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of, hard feelings there. But at the same time, we had set a word for our year. And do you remember what your word was?
Build. Yeah. Which I think, check. I think I've done it. Yeah. I think I have.
What do you feel like? How did that word guide your year? And what do you feel like? How did you come to the conclusion that, check, I did it?
So it's interesting because when I think back to January, when I was thinking build, it was all physical. It truly, I really thought about gaining mass, which is what I wanted to do.
Right.
Which is so interesting to me because that's actually opened up a bit of this rabbit hole for me about how I view myself. Oh my God. We didn't even plan to talk about this stuff. And I've actually only started thinking about this here versus even starting to verbalize it. But
yeah,
I think that, and you're going to love this because I know you've already dove into this for years now. I was really going into my masculine energy. And I'm not one to kind of talk about masculine, feminine energy.
Yeah. I don't. Give it to me.
I know. I knew you were going to love this. I truly don't know quite yet where I subscribe, to this group of thought. But I have felt, and I've kind of thought back to my life about how I've been presenting myself. And I do think I really lean into the masculine side of things. One, it's my preferred way to dress. Even when I think about how I show up at work, I love a suit. There's just thing, that traditionally masculine that I'd say I kind of express. The idea of being big and feeling big, I really like. And that's kind of where build was coming from. I really wanted to be able to do a pull-up and my push-ups and all of that truly does come from a place of wanting to be able to move the way I want to move, but also the look.
Okay.
And what I have found is that I have been this height for most of my life. Probably around 12, I was 6 feet.
Wow. Yeah.
And I got teased quite a bit because I had very short hair about how much I looked like a boy. So nickname in junior high was Sasquatch. I still remember going out with Anya to Dairy Queen in high school and kids from school coming up to me and being like, we just wanted to know, are you a girl or a boy? And I had suppressed some of this. And I think what I ended up doing was just leaning in. Well, if you're going to make fun of me for being a boy, okay, I'm just going to, fill the space because then it won't hurt me. And I don't know that I ever really, until now, have really thought about that, about what it would
Mm,
be like to go to work in a nice dress and heels and be more feminine, or be feminine when I go out with my husband for dinner. Um anyway, so sorry, went down a bit of a path here,
no.
but my word was build, and now I'm finding that I've built my business.
Yes.
What,
Yes.
so that piece I did.
Yes.
I did hit my push-up target, fantastic. But it didn't quite, like, yes, I did it. Do I feel the satisfaction I think that I was anticipating? Not really. And that's okay.
Mm,
Um, so that's where I'm at with that. What it has revealed to me is that maybe that doesn't have to be who I am anymore. Maybe I don't have to show
mm,
up so tough. Yeah. And I don't know what that means yet or what I'm going to do with it. But even with my husband, I found like I kind of push him out. Oh, I'll do it. I don't need your help.
mm,
Like, if I need it, I'll ask you, but don't offer.
right.
I didn't really realize I was doing that.
Wow.
Right? I know. It's wild. I got to write down some of this stuff.
Yes, yeah, take out the
Yeah.
pen.
Mhm.
And this is the great part about these conversations, because within, like, sometimes this is how we actively process. Other times it's through writing, other times it's through chatting it out with a friend or a trusted one. And it's like, or all you listeners, like, this is part of the process, right? And I'll be curious to see how you continue to integrate that, Rach, because that's now into your awareness. And
Mhm.
until something's in our awareness, we can't really integrate that and make sense of it for ourselves and then move forward. So how would you say, when you set the intention to build, was it coming from more of a masculine approach or more of a feminine approach, or did you notice at a certain point that that maybe shifted, or do you feel like it was quite balanced?
I don't think I really was aware of any approach at the time. I just knew um what I wanted physically. And then I think too we talked a little bit like about building this out, right? This as well. So and I think we did those things. I feel good about where we're at. Um
Yeah,
but
me
I
too.
can't say it was one like approach over the other. It's just now as I look back that I kind of see some themes, not just this
Hmm.
year but prior. And it's really
Yes.
made me think like what am I doing, and why do I feel like that's always the direction I need to take? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, right. And so the great thing is, it's not so much the answer of the why, that's so much in the
Mm.
mind. It's like, how, where do I feel this in my body?
Mhm.
When you feel into that, right? And then it's like, how would it feel to soften that? How
Mhm.
would it feel to use more flow? And then, like, recognizing in our body is so powerful, though, and that's what I'm learning. And
Mm.
through, yes, the feminine masculine energy, I did that 12-week
Mhm.
coaching group program, and I will say how potent it is to be in a group of women, and especially ambitious women, healthcare professionals who are really building their lives and created a lot of success from the masculine.
Mhm.
And in that, like, there's so many reasons, and the reasons don't really matter, actually. What I'm learning is that it's about coming back to our body, because our body knows. And that's one of our superpowers as women, is the intuition, to tune in to what it's telling us.
Mhm.
And I know we've talked a lot, Rach, about the symptomology and of, inflammation and these things. And the resource Louise Hay's, like, Heal Your Body, and the affirmations that she talks about in there, and just how the mind and our beliefs can create dis-ease. And so we can heal our body through our thoughts, is her belief from a metaphysical perspective. But that in itself, okay, that's one idea. But the feminine, it's like, it's the pleasure in the doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how could I make this just this much more pleasurable, like just an ounce more pleasurable? So whether that's when you're doing your hair, like if you like the way you're stroking just a certain spot, or where you touch yourself, or like when you're drinking your coffee or your beverage, how can you just let the flavor just sit on your tongue like just a little longer? Because in our masculine, we often are going so fast, and we're on I'm on a mission. I've got my
Mm-hmm.
mind, I'm thinking through it. And when we're shifting to the feminine, it's not that you lose the masculine, because that is where it's still really important that
Mm-hmm.
we have that to plan and to get things done and things like that. But if we're only operating out of that, that's where we're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing these breakdowns, burnout, loss of creativity. So with your building of the journals, like that is quite a
Mm-hmm.
creative process. How did you feel about the creativity?
Oh, so at the beginning it felt like work, and I kind of felt like, I don't want to say imposter, because that's not the case, but more like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know what looks good. That was one of the, like, I don't know what colors people are gonna like. I don't know,
Hmm.
like, so I had a bit of that. Um, Kind of that creative piece. Like, I don't know anything about being creative. Like, that's, I think, kind of where that was coming from. But as soon as I started to put some stuff together and play, it felt a lot better. So,
Mm.
and I just found I had so many ideas, which was really nice. That part was really, really nice. Um, to feel like that part wasn't hard about figuring out what I'd want to put in them, the questions I'd want to ask, because it's all stuff I ask myself. Like, everything
Right.
I've put in the journals is stuff I do for me. So
Right.
that part was easy, but I do find the part about trying to think, okay, who would be drawn to this cover? Um that part was a little bit more challenging, but once I started making them, um it felt pretty easy. And then at some point, when you give yourself a deadline because you've been sitting on stuff, you're like, okay, I should really get this out. Then it got a little bit
Yeah.
hard again. So I was like, oh God, I got to make the deadline. I got to get these things out. Um,
Right.
but then too, once we started talking about it, and once I started sharing it with the public, it got kind of exciting again. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a bit of like a roller coaster of emotion, but it does feel nice to just have them out and people can look at them, or they may not, but it
Yeah.
just feels good to have had an intention and a dream, and to have done it. Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
So definitely
Yeah. And
part
it's
of the build. Yeah.
right, exactly. Well, that's just a huge part of it. And I love what you said there. Like, initially, you were overthinking it about
Yeah.
like trying to cater to pretty much everyone, right?
Yeah.
Rather than when you shifted to just starting to create and to play and to have fun with
Mhm.
it, the ideas just started flowing. And then you created what you liked and what you used. And that's what we need to do as humans, we're here to create. So what is something that is important to you, that you love, that you use? And then when you infuse that into your project, whether it's a journal or a book or a recipe, whatever it
Mhm.
is, that is your magic. That
Mhm.
is, and the people that are going to love it are going to resonate with it. And if we try to cater to everyone, you cater to no one. Like, no
Mhm.
one finds you if you try to create just to please everyone. And
Mhm.
so I think that's really beautiful what you just reflected, Rach, and that's really valuable for you listeners to know. Once you get away from, trying to accommodate, but you just come back to you and what your process is and the fun that you're having and the joy, that's when the magic starts, because that's your
Mm-hmm.
energy, and then it'll attract what it needs to attract.
And how many businesses too have started like that? And I'm not in it to get rich, but it's just, hey, I think
Oh,
other people would be interested. I think that's how a lot of people start, right? Like
yeah.
the bug bite tool. Have you bought that? This
No.
It's like this suction, so your kid gets a mosquito bite or a bee bite and you put this like suction thing on it. It looks like a miniature plunger and it's supposed
Hmm.
to suck out the venom or the
Venom.
part that makes it itchy and uncomfortable. It was
Right.
some mom that was like, oh, I need something like this. Who
Right.
created it and put it out there? Or the lady that did the mineral underwear, or
Right.
the Nix underwear. Like, I want a solution that's not a bunch of pads. Like, I just
Right.
feel so many of the things that I've bought have come from women who've
Mm.
thought I could use this and have put it out
Yes.
there. So to our listeners, if you have a thing that you think someone else will benefit from, or that even if it just brings you joy, put it
Yeah.
out there. Chances are I
Put
will
it out
buy
there.
it. I'll buy it.
Right? And it's
Yeah.
like, if your first thing, I mean, sometimes it depends where it's coming from too, right? If we're in it for a certain like monetary or something like that right
Mm-hmm.
off the hop, sometimes that energy is not well received and it can be felt. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but when you're trying to serve a need that is out there, like the bug bite thing, I never even heard of that before. That is, and you developed it for yourself and you're like, hey, other people might find this helpful. And then having the
Mm-hmm.
courage to create that, to put it out there, because that is courage. And it sounds like, going back to Rach, what you said there, she was talking about how she had a deadline, and then as she got closer to the deadline, there were a lot of feelings coming up and a lot of different things. And
Yep.
that is our nervous system, right? That is our nervous system screaming at us, being like, it's actually from our ego, right? Because it's like, what if no one likes it, no one buys it, what are they gonna think? And then our ego goes on high alert because we're about to do something new. And then it sends out all these hormones in our body and these
Stop.
neurotransmitters. Ah!
Yeah.
And then, depending on what your typical nervous system response is, flight, fight,
Mm-hmm.
flight, fawn, or freeze, you may, if you're in a freeze mode, you're more prone to that, you may go in what they call dorsal vagal shutdown. And you may then withdraw and not be able to physically take action because your nervous system is not regulated. Or if you're fight or flight, you may try to rush it and, put it out there with this really aggressive energy, like, I said I was going to do this deadline, I'm going to do it, blah, 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 blah. And then the importance for us is to actually tune into, what does our nervous system do when we're about to do something different?
Mm-hmm.
And then we need to learn how to regulate our nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Many different ways to do that. That's a whole other episode. That's something you're going to find in our community in the coming months here. If you want more of that and guidance on how to go through, do stay tuned and join that community. But yeah, lots of really powerful things, right? That we can do when we're trying to step into our future selves.
Yeah. And not just for like, if you can control that and get a hold of that and have that tool in your toolkit, difficult conversations at work, conversations with those people in your life, negotiations, like it becomes your superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Foundation for everything.
How about Steph, yourself and your word for the year? How are we feeling about that?
Yeah, my word was action.
I think you did it. I think some things have changed for you.
There's been a lot of change over here. There's been a lot of steps taken action steps taken, and you know, it's shifting from the way I'm doing business and shifting with how I'm showing up in my business, what I'm creating there. There's changes there. There's been a lot of shedding and letting go. This has definitely been a clearing year, a lot of decluttering.
Mm.
We sold our house, and so our primary residence we sold, and we have been on a bit of a journey of just figuring out what feels good for our family, and just enjoying this in-between phase, allowing some flexibility and freedom to figure out where we really want to be and feel into that, what feels right. We're not in a rush at all. But that has been, yeah, of course, like getting your house ready to sell. We have had a really exciting adventure with a cabin rebuild that we're just marinating on, and we don't know what that's going to look like totally yet, but very exciting there. And then also homeschooling our daughter. And so personally, there's been a lot of action towards making these things a reality and stepping into them fully.
Mm-hmm. It's so
Yeah.
cool. Like, Steph and I live very different lifestyles. I think it's fair to say I'm traditional, drank the Kool-Aid. I'm an employee. I do the things. I got my mortgage, right? I'm in the city. Um,
Yeah.
Steph is on her own journey. I think that approach couldn't be more different. But I take so much inspiration and drive from how even just how your year has been, Steph, and the courage and the actions you've taken, maybe some leaps within there, but it's been like motivation for me to do the things I want to do, just seeing how well you've navigated. And not to say like, maybe I'm not putting this on. I don't mean to say maybe things don't work out. That's not at all what I think. I think
Mm.
everything is going to work out for you. Maybe along the line you pivot a little bit on how you get to how your journey unfolds. But I just feel like you've got it together. Like, even if that happens, you'll go with it. You'll say, "Oh, I think I'm getting pushed or shown this other path. Maybe I'll explore that. I'm probably going to see how that feels in my body." Like, all of these things that you're doing have been so cool and really courageous. There's no other word for it. And then the fact too that you have a partner that's on the journey with you and how aligned you are. Oh my God, goals. It is so cool. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. It's so cool to see. I cannot wait to find out what your word for next year is and how you're just going to blow everything up that we know to be real and traditional. You're just going to be like, fuck that. I'm not going to have money anymore. I'm going to do.
I'm gonna create my own currency.
Like,
Yeah.
Bitcoin. Like, it's so cool. It is so cool. I'm so proud of you. It's very cool.
Thanks, Rach. I appreciate that enthusiasm and support, and you rooting for us. And it's definitely a different. It's a lot of unknown. It's nice, that it looks like it's really. There's been a lot of intention behind it. We've gotten really clear on our family values, and freedom is a very big one, and flexibility for our family. Both of those. So that really has been guiding where we're going. But to say that I have the path laid out would be not true. And that's where I think the traditional paths where we think, because I would have thought by now I would have had, my own clinic, and then I would have had like all these staff members, and then I would have, been just living the day to day and traveling. And that was the path that I was on. And maybe our daughter would have been in traditional school, public school, like I was. And there were things that popped up along the line that showed, whoa, this is red flagging, not aligning with our journey. And maybe I'll get into that a little bit more in some future episodes in the community. But what I would really say is that whether you're choosing a more traditional path or creating your own, there's no certainty in any of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like you know what's coming up and you know where you're going, like, it's great to have a vision. We need that. But if you know every single step or think you do, you've got another thing coming. And so I feel like the uncertainty and leaning into that and building the trust within yourself really is powerful in being able to step into what you feel truly aligns with your values.
Mm-hmm.
And for people that are listening, if you've been curious about non-traditional paths, or you've been curious, like there's something nudging and you're not sure if it's possible, it's possible. You've got that thought and that desire for a reason. And I would just encourage to open up with curiosity, questions. How could this be possible? You know, as Rach said, for my journey, who knows what it's going to look like and how it's fully going to play out. And the worst case scenario is that we go back and we did the very thing that we know how we already could do it. Like,
Exactly.
that's the worst case scenario,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And that always is the worst case scenario for you. You go back and do what you always did if it doesn't work out.
Exactly. What I have actually really drawn from your experience and a lot of what you've said about really feeling things in your body, I want to come back to that. I think part of how your way of thinking and the conversations we've had and how much you've shared with me that has changed how I set goals is that, and I talked a little bit about this in previous episodes when I say I write to myself from the future, is
Mm.
I don't get specific on when I'm journaling or having those conversations with my future self about
Yeah.
how I get to that point, future Rachel. But where I'm really trying to tap into is what future Rachel is thinking, feeling, what she's doing in that moment that she's sitting down to write to me where she is. I get really specific on where I am: balcony, beach, not a care in the world, works on break. Like, I really try and tap into that moment. Like, small wind, sun on my face, just had
Yeah.
breakfast. And that's what I like about how you've, I think, have done some of your goal setting is you think about what's important for your family, maybe your options, your freedom, right? The ability to wake up, stay in bed if you want, which you've talked about before. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so powerful and really allows yourself to have flexibility on how you're getting to that goal. And I think it lets you pivot more easily. And if things aren't going maybe the way you thought it would with your really day-to-day mapped out, it's okay. And for me, it permits me to let the universe direct me a little bit more, or God, or
Mm.
whoever you want it to be or connect with. But
Yeah.
that's how I feel. Like, okay, that actually wasn't going to be how I was going to get to where I think I'm going. Let's see what this does. What can I learn from this? Right? What is the value in this experience for that future Rachel? So
Right.
I think that shift for you has actually caused a shift for me too, which I
Oh,
appreciate.
that's
But
cool.
it's true though, like just kind of letting I think a lot of that is in listening to your intuition and your gut, which you've always been really, really good at, Steph.
Mm.
And it kind of
Mm.
forces you to do that.
Yeah, it does a little bit more. And Well, that's awesome to hear about how with the future self you're going into those feelings
Mhm.
and not planning out the steps, but just what is that person doing? What am I doing? What am I feeling? What am I thinking? How does
Mhm.
she think? How does she relate to people? That is so powerful. And I would say, like, this mentorship that if you don't have a mentor,
Mm.
I think this is kind of, in my experience already, it's one of the quickest ways to accelerate stepping into your future self.
Mhm. Agreed.
Have you had mentors along the way?
Yeah. Um, it's funny. There's a lot of people that I don't know if they realize they're mentoring me, but I like use them. I use them. I ask them questions. I really
Mm-hmm.
think about their answers or their actions mostly, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, who I use as role models, I guess. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've mostly had mentors with work, but I wouldn't say it's a formal mentorship. It's just someone I
Right.
go to, and I have multiple, um, to really not ask specific questions. Sometimes they are, but mostly they're not. Like, hey, I'm having this
Mm-hmm.
challenge. Have you had this before? What has your experience been? Um,
Powerful, yeah.
yeah,
Wise
that's
as well.
mhm.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of your superpowers, Rach, is that you have the confidence to ask really
Oh,
great questions. And when you ask those, you get to tap into other people's genius, right? And their lived experience, which saves you decades and in often cases, right? It just
absolutely.
accelerates it because you learn from their stories, their mistakes,
Yeah.
their failures, their wins.
Yeah. Always. And what I found too when I'm speaking with those people who are often, again, with work, a higher, in the work hierarchy, higher than me, I
Yeah.
always really make space and time for like, how are you doing? Is everything okay? And I actually find I learn more from the answer to that question than I do a specific thing that I'm wanting to know.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm doing that a lot. Even right now with my boss's boss, that's how I tend to open up our conversations. And I see that they kind of react like, oh, okay. And then the floodgates open. I'm just like, oh, okay,
Wow.
this is juicy. So I
Yeah.
learn a lot more from that.
Well, and I wonder too, because you're just so great at connecting with people as well. And so when you open up that question and they know genuinely you're there to listen, it's not just like a pleasantry where I'm
Right.
asking that question. It's actually, they've seen how you hold space to
Yeah.
listen deeply. And that also along, so it's one thing to ask the question, and then another thing if you're not even listening and like, I already know the answer. I'm just asking to know, But when you listen deeply, and they know and they can feel that, and then
Hmm.
well, yeah, a lot of power in that. That's, yeah, I could see how that opened up a lot of insight.
Hmm.
Juicy for sure.
I don't want you to give it away yet because I would like to talk about this maybe January, but have you thought about your word for 2026?
I have.
I have
I
too.
have. Have you? Oh yes, high five. That's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
we won't give them
Oh,
away yet.
fun. Yeah.
Yes. And I wasn't even thinking about it. It just came to me and I wrote it down. It was in one of
Like
my
now?
last. No, no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
like not right
Yeah.
now. About a couple weeks ago in one of my last feminine power sessions, it
Nice.
dropped in and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's going to be
Oh,
for
I
2026."
love it.
So,
Cool.
yes, yes. So that's really cool. I feel like, next year is the year in 2026 as a collective energy, if you like feng shui, is about, it's a fire element and
Mm.
it's the horse is the animal. So this year was the snake
Mm-hmm.
and next year is the fire horse. So it's going to be quite a lot of movement. There's lots of things that it's going to be fast paced. There's
Hmm.
going to be a lot of energy, quite fiery energy. So checking our self-care is going to be very important to make sure we are prioritizing rest in those spurts of
Mm.
a fast-paced year. So just a little
Okay.
tidbit there.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm. Plan your
Interesting.
rest.
Yeah.
Schedule it in like your meetings for sure.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so Rach, I just feel like there's been a lot this year for both of us in so many different ways, and I'm excited for the next couple of episodes here and just to dig in. I feel like there was something else I wanted to piggyback off this, and it's now escaped my mind. It'll come back to me. We'll see here. But
Yeah.
anything else on your heart to share?
No, I don't think so. I think on a more practical note, maybe next time we can talk about, and maybe we'll have a tool available for our community.
Yes.
If you're considering, or if your mortgage is due for renewal, some things you should be considering and looking into. We can talk about rates. We can talk about evaluating, especially if you were fixed for a lower rate and now you're moving to a higher rate. That can be very scary. So maybe just the things you could consider before signing anything, talking to your broker, because that is coming up for me. So that's the reason I bring it up. So I'm doing this work already, and kind of realigning as well on the budget with my husband on our ideas and goals over the next few years, that from a monetary perspective, and just making sure we're setting ourselves up as well as we can. Yeah. So more to come on that.
Yeah, and it's a big year because I think this 2025, 2026, between now and 2027, there's such a high percentage of mortgage renewals because lots of people bought in 2020 and 2021, 2022 and there. And so it is actually a huge, I think it's the most mortgage renewals that have ever occurred at one time.
Wow.
In the market, just because there were so many purchases in those years, 4 or 5 years ago already. Yeah.
So so very timely, I suppose.
Absolutely.
So more to come on that.
Yeah, that will be really helpful. And I feel like, yeah, there's so many interesting conversations that we want to have with you. I've got them all flooding my mind, but I'm aware of our episode length. And so if you have certain topics that you are wanting to hear more about, do put them in the comments. As always, thank you so much for joining us. It's been awesome to connect with you, Rach, and just get into all the things. And I'm excited to tell the listeners more about our community in the coming months.
Me too. And for those of you that did come up with a word for this year, can you tell us, comment, drop us a line, DM, whatever it is, about where you're at with it? Do you feel like the word was suitable for the year? Were you able to do the things that you thought about, when you set out that intention? Would love to hear how those journeys went for others.
Absolutely. And I'm going to be sharing all about my word in the process. I dropped this in one of our stories recently, but the manifestation of the cabin that we are currently rebuilding. So that's going to be something that will be available for those if you're wanting to walk through the process for yourself. I'm more than happy to guide you. So really looking forward to connecting with each of you.
Listeners, if you are looking for an opportunity to have the hairs on your neck stand up, you have to listen to this story because one, you're going to think, oh my God, is she a witch? And two, you're going to think, how can I also do that? So yes, I will wait with bated breath, Steph. I want to hear it again. So cannot wait for that to unfold. Yeah.
I love it. Super excited about that. Thanks, Rach.
Yeah.
All right, listeners. Thanks for joining us for episode 17, and we will see you in next month.
Bye.
Bye. This podcast is designed to provide listeners and viewers with a general overview of how to start investing and growing wealth, provide value to our communities, and live a life of wellness. It is not designed to be a definitive investment guide or life guide to take the place of a qualified financial planner or other professionals. Given the risk involved in investing of almost any kind, there is no guarantee that the investment method suggested in your personal or financial life will be profitable. We do not assume liability of any kind for any losses that may be sustained as a result of applying the methods suggested in this podcast, and any such liability is hereby expressly disclaimed.